Hello and welcome to a DFS strategy video for the 2023 RSM Classic. My name is Eric and here at SweetSpotDFS, it's all about trying to hit the optimal lineup every single week. And I like to do that by looking at the bucket system as well as the marquee tee times. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the bucket system, I do have a video link in the description below that'll explain all about it. You really only have to watch the first 5 minutes to really understand what it's about. However, it is an 18-minute long video, so if you are interested in that, again, video link in the description below. And what the bucket system helps us do is narrow down our player pools. The marquee tee times, on the other hand, they help us find two to four golfers to anchor our lineups around. And the reason I continue to talk about these things in my videos is because they have a very high success rate. So I'm going to review the Houston Open and show you how successful it was there. No surprise, it was very successful. But I will show you because I like visual evidence. So I like to provide visual evidence as to why, it did well. I don't really like to talk about strokes gained stats because more than likely you've seen that in other videos and I just be repeating everything everyone else said. I want you to take this video as kind of your last stop. Watch this to sharpen your lineups. Find the actual, key players that you need to have on your lineup and then let the bucket system kind of fill in the rest. Maybe you already have an idea of, a handful of golfers you want in your lineup. Well, use the bucket system to help sort them out. Maybe you'll kick one or two of those golfers out of a lineup, and maybe that's the correct move. Or perhaps you want those two golfers in a lineup, and it'll kick, one or two or even three golfers out of the player pool. That might help you win a GPP. So, again, I talk about the bucket system, the marquee tee times, because they're very successful. I'm going to continue to show you the successes from the week before I go into the segments of, this week's tournament. So before we get into any of that, though, I'll remind you guys, I like to do giveaways. And no surprise here, we're going to do the same giveaway we did last week. The monthly and weekly giveaway is essentially the same thing. You got to be subscribed and you got to comment down below on this video to get an entry into both. I will be running the Houston Open giveaway here shortly. So of all of you that participated on that video, you all got entries not only into the weekly giveaway, but also in the monthly giveaway. Now, the monthly giveaway, I'm giving away $50 if we can reach a goal. And the goal you can see on the screen all the way over there to the left. It's 500 subscribers. We're more likely not getting there. So I'm going to give away a shirt that has this logo on it. If you already have the shirt, we can figure something out. But I want to reward all of those that participate. And I like doing this weekly $5 thing and also a monthly one. I think it's worthwhile to try to hit a goal. It is kind of a lofty goal, and during the fall swing, it's a little difficult to gain more subscribers. So I appreciate all of you that have been joining as of late. I think there's been like 20 new subscribers or something like that since the start of the fall season. So that's awesome. I think things will pick up, during the next calendar year. I'm actually looking forward to this little 45-day break because I'm going to be doing a lot of updating to the channel, a lot of updating to my data. And I mean, it was a goal of mine to get the database and website up and running before the end of the year. It's still possible. So I'm going to be working on that, trying to do that. So I'm looking forward to this. Now, the weekly giveaway for the RSM Classic, I will run during the Hero World Challenge. I won't be doing a monthly giveaway or a weekly giveaway after that in December. We're just going to leave it alone. But I will do the monthly giveaway during the Hero World Challenge. And it's essentially, that's all I'm doing that video for, is for the monthly giveaway. So anyways, if you are interested in participating in this, again, be subscribed to the channel and comment down below. Now, another giveaway, which is more like a refund, is the Prize Picks giveaway that I like to do. If you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot and put $20 in your account, I'm going to give you those $20 back. Now, you can put up to $100 and Prize Picks will also match your deposit. So that's another benefit here. They'll match your deposit up to $100. So if you do put $100 in, they'll give you another $100. Plus, I'm giving you $20 on top of that. Or if you want to try it for free or whatever, anything in between, I'm still giving you $20. So all it takes for you is to sign up and put that initial deposit in, and I will be sending you $20. There's a link in the description, by the way, that'll send you straight to the sign up page on Prize Picks. They'll already populate that promo code in there, so you don't even have to. If you're interested, again, link in the description. Now, this video mostly is going to be going off of the cheat sheet that it's going to be going off of my spreadsheets, which I actually provide in a cheat sheet form, which I'll put on the screen right now. I usually zoom out. I'm going to keep all the golfers that have been withdrawing from this event on here. Just a reminder for you guys not to select these players when you're making your lineups. And just a reminder, basically, if you already know this, it's just a reminder to let you know that these players are no longer in the field. So that's why they're still there. It might be an eyesore, but I think it's worthwhile. Now, this is a tournament in Georgia, and Georgia golfers or southeastern golfers actually do pretty well at this event. So I have golfer information. I have their home state and region, as well as their college state and region. So you could filter out by this if you want. Forgot to mention, if you're interested in this, there is a link in the description that'll get you straight to this site. All I ask you to do is go to the file menu, make a copy. That way you get to edit this however you like. It also allows you to use the filters that are in here that I put in there, and they're very useful. So again, make a copy. That way you can filter out by this and take a look at all of the Georgia golfers that are in the field. There's a lot. And believe it or not, this is one of those events where, home region actually matters. And a lot of these pros actually play like their home course is this golf course, or it's the island that this golf course is on. So I think it's definitely worthwhile to take a look at the cheat sheet, find the golfers that are from Georgia. Now the whole roster isn't updated. I'm a little ashamed of myself in some regards that I have not updated this fully yet. I will eventually. Maybe that's what I'll be able to do in this 45-day break coming up. But there's enough on here for you to really get an advantage, I believe. But all the other information that you would ever want is on here. This shouldn't say POA. This should say Bermuda. I will update this after the video. Just know it's Bermuda grass this week. So I'll update that. But you have strokes gain stats on here. You have last week's strokes gain stats going along with recent form, which obviously I state here last 7 weeks. Also have the baseline season long stats. So that's all available for you guys. You can see what my scoring metrics look like. And obviously you have the ranks over here. Everything that I'll be going over in this video, you can also follow along on this cheat sheet. And quite frankly, this video is more important when you do follow along on the cheat sheet. So highly encourage you guys to do that. I also have the bucket system on this cheat sheet as well. So when I go over this, or when I go over the bucket system, you can also follow along. And when you're on your own, you can just kind of go between both of the tabs and try to figure out how many golfers you want in one bucket versus another. Totally helpful for you guys. So that's available to you. Video link, or not video link in the description. I also am going to provide my optimizer. So if you are interested in this, I have all the buckets, like everything that I'll be going over in this video. When I tell you you want to grab a certain type of golfer from a bucket, or you want to grab 2 golfers from a bucket, that is already written into the code. Essentially, all you have to do is run optimizer. You can also mess around with your exposure percentages. You want to change the metrics of this. I have a video a video link in the description of this video that explains how to use the optimizer. So if you watch that and you're interested in it, all you have to do is contact me right there, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested in the optimizer. I'll send it to you as long as you're subscribed to this channel and you have commented down below. That way I can kind of keep tabs as to whether or not you're subscribed and you're participating on the channel. Again, I want to reward all of those that participate on this channel. Those are all the giveaways. Cheat sheet, optimizer, weekly giveaway, $5. You can, drive the green or anything like that, as well as Prize Picks. let's run the giveaway for the Houston Open. I had 6 participants on that video that commented. By hitting this Y right here, we will find ourselves a winner. So appreciate Old Elvis, Shot Like Harden, Dave S, Joanne Sluice, Jim Lemoyne, and Brandon Miller for participating. Let's see who wins. Dave S. Congratulations, Dave. I think that's the first time you've won. Contact me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com or DM me on Twitter. Let me know how I can send that money to you. So you won $5. I'll either do it through PayPal, Venmo, Google Pay, or we can try to figure something else out. But $5 is yours. Congratulations. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually talk about the Houston Open and the bucket system there. So what I want you to pay attention to is the column just above my head, the success column here. Basically, I have coded any time that the number within the top 10 column fits in between the projections, that will give us back a yes. If it doesn't, we'll take a look to see what's in the optimal lineup. And if that number then matches inside the projections that I had earlier in the week, it's a success. If not, that's when it fails. I do have my SweetSpot optimal here that, you know, I like to try to find the best lineup over $49,000. And if that best lineup over $49,000 has different numbers in here, I kind of want to point that out and show, you know, whether or not that bucket was successful that way or not. But as I scroll through this, you can see one bucket failed, and that bucket was the course history 5. So a golfer that has averaged basically a missed cut in his course history. We had 2 of those golfers finish inside the top 10, 2 of them in the optimal lineup. Now, 1 was only in the SweetSpot optimal, and we only projected 0 to 1. So we're only projecting somewhere between 0 to 1. Obviously, the 2 from the top 10 and the 2 from the optimal lineup is outside that projection, therefore the bucket failed. Now, I can tell you, running the optimizer after the tournament has finished with all the DraftKings points in, we did beat the GPP winning lineup, and I'll show you that right now. So if I go to my recent form tab, I used to always go over like the optimal lineup to show you guys what the optimal lineup was. The optimals used $46,300 of the salary. Obviously, we have a salary cap of $50,000, so you're leaving $3,700 on the table. That's impossible. I don't advocate for that. I think that's silly to try to leave that much money on the table. There's also kind of like a scientific reason why you don't want to. It just opens yourself up to so many more combinations and lineups that you can build. So I always like to build 49,000 and up. However, the optimal lineup scored 584 points, and they're all the golfers here in the black tick marks. I'll let you read those. I'm not going to talk about them. The GPP winning lineup used all $50,000 of the salary, and it scored 525.5 points. And those are all the golfers here in blue. That was a hell of a lineup. You had the guy who won the GPP winning lineup for the $5 had almost all of his golfers inside the top 10. That's remarkable. That's exactly what I'm striving here for at SweetSpot DFS. Trying to find all 6 golfers inside the top 10 in your lineup to hopefully hit the optimal, and if not, just like this guy did, win a GPP. That'd be awesome. Now, the realistic lineup that I have, the one that is the SweetSpot optimal, are the golfers here highlighted in green. Their salaries are highlighted in green. That used up $49,700 of the salary, and it scored 527.5. So it beat the GPP winning lineup by 2 points, and that followed everything that I had for the bucket system. So anything that said you wanted somewhere between 1 to 3 or even like 1 to 4, something like that, that matched. And that's actually everything right here. So if we were to do this, I would have to recode this to show you what the SweetSpot optimal did. But obviously you guys can use your eyes, double check to see if it works. Obviously, me telling you that I ran the optimizer with all the bucket conditionals and stuff like that in there kind of tells you that it follows the bucket system. And again, we would have taken down a GPP had we had the right SweetSpot lineup. in that contest. I don't know if I had that. I don't think I had that lineup anywhere, but if we had it in that contest, would have taken it down. So that is a review of the bucket system for the Houston Open. Let's take a look at the RSM Classic as to what the bucket system is there. Really what I want you guys to focus on are these two columns here. Again, when you're following along with me during the cheat sheet, that is here in the bucket system. You can see all the projections here in column G and H. That's exactly what I'm talking about here in the RSM Classic. Basically, just a reminder, anytime that this is less than 2, the maximum projection, I want you to always remember the minimum is actually 0. It's not what this 1.19 is. I've done this long enough to know you need a 2-point cushion between the minimum and maximum. Otherwise it might get a little narrow. Like the gap here is very narrow as opposed to, let's see, where's a good one? I think that I thought I had one that was like 1 to 4. Maybe not. I think what I ended up doing was this one. So I like to use a conservative max projection over here. So I pretend this is 3. So my minimum automatically becomes 1, despite the same 2.07. So this would actually be 1 to 4. Now, if this confuses you, I understand. It's kind of like I make it up on the spot, but that's where the optimizer comes into play. I already have that right here. So this last week 6 bucket, I already have the minimum in there as 1 and the max of 4. You can see here it's 2 to 4 because remember we round down with the minimums and we round up with the maximums. So this is really 2, 4. But when I take into account the conservative maximum projection, this has more to do with strength of field than the score here. So with that being said, actually no, I'm sorry. This takes into account the sweet spot ranks. So it just kind of gives us a better idea of what bucket's actually quality as opposed to the high end of the maximum like projection, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. Anyways, when you're reading this on the cheat sheet, just remember, round down in the minimum projection, round up in the maximum projection. And if we really wanted just to look at this as buckets that you absolutely want at least 1 golfer in, what we can do is put a filter on this, greater than or equal to 2. Remember, if we want a 2-point gap, we need this to be greater than 2. So if we do that, you can already see the minimum projections are 1 or greater. So these are all the buckets you want at least 1 golfer in. Last week 5s, missed cuts. Last week 6s, did not plays. And that's how the bucket system is numbered. If you're unfamiliar with it, again, watch the bucket system video that I have in the description. There's a video link there. Check it out. I explain it there. But you also see last week 5, last week 6s, course history 3s. That's that 40 to 60 range. Now that's mostly because the number of golfers in this bucket is very large, 58 golfers. So it's more of a volume driven bucket. The fact that I have somewhere between 2 to 5, like a projection of how many golfers are going to finish inside the top 10 from this bucket, I mean, it's kind of easy. I don't think I'm going to lose that projection. 2 to 5 is pretty generous for a projection when there are 58 golfers. But either way, you probably want at least 2 no matter what from this bucket. Recent form 2 is another one of those buckets you want at least 1 golfer in. That's that 20 to 40 range. And oh, by the way, recent form has more success here than course history does. So if you're one of those that believes in recent form over course history, this is the perfect tournament for it. I think the recent form 5 and recent form 6 buckets, I don't know how many golfers are in each of those, but the maximum projection was 1 for both of those buckets. So it just shows not a great bucket to choose from. So keep that in mind. And of course, salaries and stroke chain stats. I told you I do provide stroke chain stats in the bucket system. They're all within buckets that I also explain in the bucket system video found in the description below. And you basically want 1 of each. strokes gained 2, strokes gained 3, strokes gained 4. So that's basically your bucket system. Again, you can ask for the optimizer, and that'll help you build lineups based off of the rules that I typically have. Or if you understand the, my process, you can follow along on the cheat sheet. And then you just go to the DK page. So if I went to the cheat sheet, I go to the DK page and I put this filter on. And let's say when we're looking at the bucket system, obviously we wanted at least one last year 5 or one last year 6. If we go to the filter here and check out, last year, well, let's go last year 5, sorry. Last year 5, our best golfer is Jason Day. Well, salary-wise, I should say. Kevin Kisner's there, Davis Riley's there. Some decent golfers here. I had this sorted by the Marquee tee times, by the way, and I'm going to keep it that way. So you can't really see what it looks like by salary. But of course, you can also do this if you check out the link in the description and come to the cheat sheet. A lot of golfers in that bucket. How many were there? 52. 52 golfers who missed the cut last year are in that bucket this year. That's crazy. Double check something quick. I want to make sure everyone did miss the cut. Oh yeah, they all missed the cut. Very cool. Okay. Trying to remember where I was. Oh, we're done with the bucket system. Let's move on to the Marquee tee times. Now, going to the Houston Open, just to give you an idea how successful this was. Remember, we want somewhere between 2 to 4 golfers that you want to anchor your lineups around. You also don't want to play a golfer from the same lineup. I'm sorry, let me reword that. You don't want to play more than 2 golfers from the same lineup, but you really, that's not how you say that either. Keep saying lineup. There's no lineup. It's a tee time. You don't want to play more than 2 golfers from the same team, same tee time. And quite frankly, you probably don't want to play more than 1. That's usually the rule. Don't play more than 1 golfer from the same tee time. So if, say, you liked Scotty Scheffler, obviously don't match him up with Sam Burns. That would have been a terrible choice anyways because of their price points, but also like don't do Taylor Montgomery. Or maybe a better example would be pairing up Hideki Matsuyama with Sebastian Munoz. Since they're priced pretty easily, just wouldn't be a smart idea. Now, the little black tick marks here are the optimal lineup. So if I scroll through here, we only had 1 golfer in the Marquee tee times in the optimal lineup. Ended up being in the GPP winning lineup, but so too was Joel Damon, believe it or not. And Mackenzie Hughes is in this group as well. Now, I really liked Mackenzie Hughes last week. I even had a beer bet with Chad Eckert from the Fantasy Golf Pod saying he would beat Will Gordon. A lot of it had to do with him being in the Marquee tee times. I personally liked Mackenzie Hughes better than these two, but Tony Finau ended up winning. So I was wrong on that front. I didn't play a lot of Tony Finau. Had some really good lineups without Tony Finau, but I didn't have any Tony Finau. The SweetSpot Optimal, though, had Scotty Scheffler and Tony Finau in it. So if you went that route, which is usually not a smart route to go, we could say that the Marquee tee times hit. I don't think I'm ever building a lineup like that. Maybe in the future I will, but I'm probably staying away from a lineup like I don't know if you were to start with a Tony Finau, Keith Mitchell, but there are 3 golfers in the GPP winning lineup that are in the Marquee tee times. There are 2 golfers in the SweetSpot Optimal that were in the Marquee tee times, and 1 golfer in the Optimal lineup, who also happened to be in the SweetSpot Optimal and the GPP winning lineup. That's Tony Finau. So it all worked out that way. As I scroll through here, we're not going to see golfers that are paired up together. Not that I really care about some of these guys down here at the bottom, but Marquee tee times, pretty darn good last week. And I would consider that a success because we can't get to the optimal. It's very difficult to get to the optimal when you're leaving $3,700 on the table. So the fact that we see the GPP winning lineup with 3 golfers in the Marquee Tee Times, as well as 2 golfers from the SweetSpot Optimal, this, in my opinion, was a success. Now, when we take a look at the RSM Classic, here are our optimal, or our Marquee Tee Times, which of course are our top groups in this tournament. Be mindful. One thing I want to note, I forgot to do this, but if I sort by game number, what I typically had done before was give you the golf course these golfers are starting at. But let me give you a little key. The top 25 lineups. So when you go down to lineup number 25, these are all golfers that are on the I don't think that's right. I think I need one more. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So the top 26 lineups. So when you sort by game and you go down to game 26, this whole chunk of golfers right here, they're all playing on one golf course. There are 2 golf courses. This would be the Seaside course. These golfers are playing the Seaside course Thursday. Group 27 and down below, these are all playing the Plantation course. There are 2 golf courses. So if that matters to you, personally to me it doesn't. If you're doing showdown lineups, it would matter more to me, but it really doesn't matter to me which golf course they're playing first. If there was a strong enough weather report, I would probably consider it, but I'm just going to ignore it for now. Either way, I want you guys to understand that. So group 27 and below, those golfers are playing the Plantation course. Group 26 and above, these guys are playing this Seaside. And if I mess that up, I will either tweet it, or I think YouTube allows short messages that I could send, or short posts that I could send. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, though. Either way, Marquee Tee Times, your top groups. You can obviously sort that here on the cheat sheet. Let me go back into my sheet. I think it's interesting. So we want to find 2 to 4 golfers to build our lineups around. I usually like to start with 2. I'll let the optimizer determine if I should put a 3rd or a 4th in there. I'm just gonna highlight some names that I really like this week. Jason Day, believe it or not. I'm not a huge Jason Day fan, but this week, kind of liking Jason Day, which is scary. I like Brian Harmon. I like Harris English. Really like Davis Riley here. He's in that last year 5 bucket. That's really good. Really like Chris Kirk. Russell Knox, I'll just leave unselected, but he is on my radar. I wouldn't mind seeing, the optimizer pick him like 10%. Kuchar, to me, maybe a bit overpriced, but that might also bring ownership down, which it doesn't really matter. Last week, when everyone was on Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns, if you had Tony Finau, you could really get away with kind of a crappy lineup. That's where I would see Matt Kuchar excel, because he's going to be one of those guys when no one plays him, when everyone hates him, he's the type of golfer that plays his best. So if the sentiment is low on Matt Kuchar, and if you want to believe in a karma or, some superstition, probably put all your chips on Matt Kuchar then. I'll just throw that out there. I'm not really necessarily doing it. I'm also not staying away from him. So I'm just going to allow the optimizer to select him as many times as it wants. But up to a point. Obviously, I put exposures on everything. So yeah, I don't mind Matt Kuchar. Really like Mac Hughes this week, and Robert Streb, a past winner at this tournament, $6,700. I don't think that's a terrible thing to do. Now remember, the rule is on these Marquee Tee Times, you never want to select more than 2 golfers from a tee time, from a group that's playing together. But I just say find one and then skip the other 2. That's why I like the Marquee Tee Times, because if you had to make a hard decision, let's say you're trying to figure out if you want to play, let's say like Davis Riley or Chris Kirk, or I shouldn't even say it that way. Let's say we're trying to find a 10K golfer you want to play. Brian Harmon or Seamus Power, and you're like, well, I like Jason Day. Well, maybe that's how you just go from Brian Harmon to Jason Day. You know, if you had to make a decision between Seamus and Brian, let Jason Day be the reason to change that up. It's a little different than what most people tell you. You know, they would say pivot in a different way. Pivot based off of ownership. I'm telling you pivot based off of which golfers are in their groups. I think that's probably a better way to do it when it comes to golf. Some golfers play better together. Some players play worse. Not saying that's going to happen here with Shamo, Jason Day, or Joel Damon, but yeah, I think starting Jason Day, Brian Harmon is a pretty smart thing to do. I do like Davis Riley and Chris Kirk quite a bit, so that'll be difficult to do with their group. But let's move on. So the next group down after the Kuchar, McKenzie, Hughes, Robert Streb group would be Patrick Rogers, Austin Smotherman, Karen Percy. I don't really care about any of them. Patrick Rogers is interesting, but probably just gonna stay away from him. I don't care for the Hoagie, Spawn, Ramey lineup. Hodges, Streelman, and Schwab actually seems pretty interesting. I think it's Rathouse is the caddy that is on Twitter. I think he said he's caddying for this guy, so that's really interesting. So if you're interested, go check out his Twitter. I think it's RATHOUZ. I think that's his Twitter handle. Go check him out. You might have some good advice or some good knowledge, some good information. Yeah. The group after that: Nick Hardy, Justin Sudd, Tyson Alexander. These are all young studs. Nick Hardy went to the University of Georgia. I don't have that here, that information. So if you do like Nick Hardy, probably a good reason to play him. And then Taylor Pendrith, John Hunt, and Nate Lashley. I like Pendrith. Don't really care for the other guys. So with that being said, let's pull up the optimizer. Now, I've already indicated that I like Brian Harmon this week. I also like Jason Day. So I can go ahead and just put those guys in here right away. I will tell you a lot of what I go through in these videos, like when I'm creating these lineups, I don't necessarily follow when I actually build my lineups, because what I want to do is run this enough times, and you guys have the opportunity to do this too. I like to click run and save 25 lineups, and it'll run, you know, lineups. It'll go through them. I also like to put these exposures from 9K and above to 100%, just to see which of the top guys that the optimizer likes the most. I can already tell you it likes Brian Harmon the most, and then Keith Mitchell. And I actually don't mind playing Keith Mitchell with Brian Harmon. I think that's pretty solid. Now, Keith Mitchell isn't a part of the Marquee Tee Times, but that's fine. My optimizer, I have it set already to at least select 2 golfers from the Marquee Tee Times. If you didn't like that, you could switch this to a 1, a 0, or whatever number that you want. There are a lot of good Brian Harmon lineups that are created. But, okay, so if I were to run this is what I would normally do, is just hit run optimize. And again, I'd do this 25 times and just see the golfers that are, you know, that are brought up. Kuchar, Thigala, Brennan Todd, Will Gordon, Dean Burmester. So Will Gordon, one of the best values that I have in the field. He obviously has been playing really well recently, so he's going to continue to show up in the optimizer. But so too is Matt Kuchar. At his price, the points that I have for him under the metric, really, really good. So if I were to run this again, it's going to omit Dean Burmester. So I run this again. We're going to see Brian Harmon. We'll see Matt Kuchar and Will Gordon. Now we have Taylor Moore. We do it again. We're probably going to see Kuchar and Gordon once again. Yeah, Stallings and Straka now are included. And then one more time, probably the same thing. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lock out. So I don't want to see Matt Kuchar. And when we do that, we actually see, I think, some really interesting lineups present themselves. So I don't really care for Taylor Moore. He's kind of on my blacklist. Had a really good lineup with him, a couple good lineups with him in a tournament not too long ago. he just crapped the bed. So he's on my he's on the temporary blacklist right now. So if I run this, but look at the rest of the players: Pendrith, Riley, Todd, and Gordon. I could also omit Gordon just to see what the optimizer would do, but Pendrith, Riley, and Todd, not terrible. So it's like if you take out Matt Kuchar, Davis Riley fills his spot. And I love lineups like this. This lineup to me is super sexy. Harman, Mitchell, Riley, Gordon, Griffin, Straka. Love that. Run it again. Now we put Neesmith in there, who I think a lot of people were on either last week or the week before. Be a good reason to get on him this week. That's another sexy lineup. Like that one a lot. And if I run this one more time, now wow. Probably one of the more balanced lineups I've ever seen, but I don't hate it. Now, if we take out Will Gordon, because that seems to be an essential piece in this whole thing, and let me clear out these lockouts and rerun it. Let's take a look. Harman, Jason Day, Brendan Todd, Scott Stallings, Taylor Moore. So Taylor Moore kind of fills in whenever like Will Gordon isn't there, or Will Gordon, Dean Burmester, something like that. Brian Harman, Taylor Montgomery, not terrible. Todd, Kirk, Griffin, Straka. So obviously we've seen those names already before. Let's see what happens when we lock out Straka. Now we include Keith Mitchell, Brendan Todd, Kirk, Lauer, Griffin. Love that. Again, we're seeing the same players. So a lot of times what I will do when doing this, so okay, I don't want to see Griffin and I don't want to see Todd. So I'm going to go ahead and lock them out. And then see what the optimizer does. I can also go in here and look at the metrics and remove, or I should say remove, but alter the metric point. If I don't like a golfer, I'll subtract 100 points from his total. If I do like a golfer, maybe I'll add 100 points. Try to get the optimizer to select that golfer more and more. This is an interesting lineup. It's kind of gross. I don't want Garrett Higo in my lineup. But Neesmith, Pendrith, Putnam kind of shows up. We see Kirk. Let's go ahead and remove Kirk. He's a Georgia boy, and it is worthwhile to play Georgia boys at this golf course. So one more time. Mitchell, Riley, Putnam. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of the same patterns, which is a good thing. I mean, it helps you analyze what type of lineups you want to build. Personally, I'd say stick to your guns. Find 2 golfers you want to anchor around and just build lineups that way. So let's say if it was Harman, which I think for me, I'm hard pressed not playing Harman. I think he's just a safe play. I think I want to do Harman and either Keith Mitchell or Jason Day, and I think maybe Jason Day is the. Oof. I was just about to say Jason Day is a safe play. That would have got me in trouble. We're gonna go with Keith Mitchell. Ooh, Danny Willett shows up on this one. I like that. Gordon, Kirk, Willett. So we're gonna see a lot of Gordon, I'm sure, a lot of Todd. No Todd there, but Riley. Okay, so let's remove Gordon once again. I'm gonna create like 3 more lineups and then call it good for this video. We're running up on 40 minutes. So Todd, Kirk, Moore. So let's get rid of Brendan Todd. I think Brendan Todd's a good play here, by the way. I just don't want to keep seeing the same names over and over again. And this is how I kind of can figure out what looks good. Like this lineup, I love. I like seeing Pendrith. Kirk is a good fill-in. Ben Griffin is fine. If I didn't like Ben Griffin, I just redo this and lock out Ben Griffin. Ooh, now we add Kuchar, Kirk, Lauer, and Percy. Percy is dangerous. I'm sure that'll be on Josh Bennett's model. Cameron Percy will be up there. Yeah, so here's a good lineup. I like this. Now Lauer's going to get kicked out, but Stallings and Merritt to go with Mitchell, right? I think I like that a lot, actually. Mitchell, Pendrith, Putnam, Lee Hodges. That's interesting. And Stuart Sink. Stuart Sink's a Georgia boy. Yeah, I like these lineups. Cool. Oh, Chris Gotterup. That's an interesting play. All right. So yeah, I think that's the best way to do. Lock in 2 golfers and let the optimizer do the rest. or 3 golfers or 4 golfers. How many you want to lock up and let the optimizer try to do the rest, looking at all the buckets. That's it for me. Again, this is the last event. I shouldn't say again. I don't know if I mentioned this. This is the last event of the PGA Tour season for this calendar year. It continues after the new year. I can't remember if it's January 6th, 7th, or like the first Thursday in January, I believe. Might be wrong, so don't quote me, but I think it's around that time. We get like a 45-day break, so I'm gonna try to use that time wisely. I will run the monthly giveaway in December. Actually, we'll also run the weekly giveaway for this event then as well. So we'll do a weekly giveaway, the monthly giveaway as well. And again, the monthly giveaway includes all of the entries that were, well, I should say all of the comments, all of you that commented on each of my videos for this month, that gets entered into the giveaway. So I'll run that again during the Hero World Challenge. So anyways, just to show you, $50 for the monthly giveaway. We're most likely not getting there because it all revolves around the subscriber goal of 500. We're not getting there, most likely, unless by some means we just get this huge influx of subscribers, which would be wonderful. But if we don't, I'm gonna give away a t-shirt that has this logo on it. It's not backwards, obviously, that you see on here. But again, I'll run that during the Hero World Challenge. Now, if you want to play Prize Picks for free, I do have a link in the description below. Sign up using the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, and I will refund you your $20 as soon as I get the report from Prize Picks saying you signed up and made a deposit. So that's available, link in the description. Also, cheat sheet was available for you guys throughout this video, as well as the optimizer. I think that's it. I got nothing else, so thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.